Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is Dr. Jan Fortman with Relationship Matters TV. I hope everyone is enjoying their morning, afternoon, or evening. We are here. We are right outside of the city of Chicago, and we are going through weather that I don't even know what to say about it. It's cold one day, it's warm the next day. We go from 70 degrees and then we go to 40 degrees. And now they're saying by Saturday, it'll be 29 degrees. Yeah, you don't know how to dress. As my mom used to say, this is pneumonia weather. So wherever you are in the world, I know your weather is topsy-turvy, but guess what? It's weather, and we're all still here to experience it. Well, I'm going to jump right into today's guest because it's all about relationships as usual, but it's all about marriage and communication. Now, if you're out there and you're married, you want to be here. If you have any friends or colleagues that are married, let them know. Tell them to come in and watch today's episode. Also, if you know some young people or even older people who are getting ready to get married, they need to be here. I'm married and I need to be here. So let me tell you about today's guest. His name is Paul Zohav. He is the founder and lead coach at Marriage and Communication Coaching. And his passion is helping couples and individuals transform their relationships through stronger connection, healthier communication, very important, and lasting love. For more than 30 years, he has dedicated his professional life to supporting relationships, to guiding couples through conflict, rebuilding trust and betrayal, strengthening communication, and helping partners to rediscover joy in their connection. His years as a coach, the experience that he has as a counselor and mentor, all of this has given him deep insight, which we're going to hear about, into what truly makes relationships thrive. And I know this is what we all want. We want our relationships to thrive. So, without further ado, I will bring to you Paul Zohav. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Janice. Good to see you.
It's great to see you too. Let's jump right into it. But first of all, this is what I want to ask you. What made you get into this? This particular niche is like, it's so needed. So what made you decide to be a marriage and communications coach?
There are about two answers, or two pieces to that answer. I still remember to this day, I was a substitute teacher in a Nelson County, Virginia high school.
Okay.
Charlottesville. And I told the young women there, speaking to the whole class, you didn't have to accept abuse from your boyfriend, said I. And they said, but Mr. Z, if I don't accept abuse from my boyfriend, I don't have a boyfriend. They have to compromise themselves for the sake of relationships, which is a high priority when you're in high school. Science, technology, engineering, and math, not so much. But being in love, being popular, being accepted, and dealing with the fact that your body is militating for something very biological, puts them in an awkward position. Mm-hmm. Typically, there are times when they'd rather say no, but they don't feel free to say no because they want to be popular, accepted, be in love, and their body is saying, be pregnant or get someone pregnant. So that's the first memory I have of that. It's vivid. And then when I graduated the University of Virginia with my marriage and my counseling and education degree, the first population I got to support were male perpetrators of domestic violence. Because in those years, we're talking about the 1990s, the victims almost had to victimize themselves because unless they pressed charges, it went nowhere. They were obliged to press charges, otherwise the police wouldn't do anything. It has grown away from that model largely. Now the community says, if we see evidence of domestic violence, we'll make the arrest and the charge will be on us. So we release the victim from the responsibility of this whole brouhaha. But over the years, I had 2 classes for domestic violence perpetrators in Charlottesville and Waynesboro. And one day it comes to me, why don't I prevent it rather than treat it?
Okay.
Damage is done. Wouldn't that be more efficient use of my time?
Mm-hmm.
So I became a chaplain along the way. 12 years ago, I started marriage and communication coaching in Tucson, Arizona. After about 2,000 plus couples, I'm pretty sure I know what's going on and how I can contribute. So I became a counselor to prevent that which got them into trouble. And I never forget that children get to be safe. It never leaves me. Children get to be safe. They don't have to trade pieces of themselves off for the sake of abs in a hot car and curly hair. Sorry, So that's the answer to your question. How did I get here?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll stop there. What would you like to know next?
So now here you were focusing on abuse, so to speak. So most of the couples that you counsel, is that the majority of your couples? They're dealing with some form of physical abuse or even emotional abuse?
Physical abuse, very, very rare. Because people that come to me, it's when they're on the edge of something they don't know how to handle. So, so the couples I've seen, I see more infidelity than that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a conversation to be had about where does infidelity come from, but I don't jump ahead.
Well, no, I was going to ask you that.
Well, I start off recognizing that infidelity is a symptom, it's not a cause. You know, and once we realize that it's a symptom, we can ask the question, what is it a symptom of? And the answer is most people, one, don't know how to communicate. It's not
Okay.
it's not in our high school curriculum. Science, technology, engineering, and math, sure. How to get along with the person you work with or about to work with or want to be married to, not there.
Okay.
And often our parents, if we look to our parents for models of communication relationship, it can be very tragic. The models we get from our parents grow up. I can tell you stories some other time. But we want to, my parents were really good people, but their models,
Okay.
immigrant children in the 1930s, I can sort of guess how old I am, um, they had lived in a vastly different black and white rotary television, telephone, no television world,
Mm-hmm.
radios. And but that's 120 years out of date. We don't live back in the 1930s any longer.
Mm-hmm.
Communication is a real challenge, especially in the years of this.
Mm-hmm.
So um, infidelity often comes from lack of communication skills. They used to have home ec. Remember home ec? Had
Oh yeah.
nothing had nothing to do with communication skills. It was setting a table and cooking brownies.
Mm-hmm.
And boys weren't often in those classes anyways. So in our high school curriculum, there is really no guidance to maintain a good quality, lifelong relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's communication skills. Secondly, people are unaware that they feel loved in different ways. Some people feel loved by taking care of you. Some
Mm-hmm.
people feel loved when I take care of them, like my spouse. Some people like to be appreciated and acknowledged. Some
Mm-hmm.
people really have a high priority of cuddling and physical touch. Some people like gifts, though not too many. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and many people, such as myself, also like quality time. When I and my spouse, her name is Rita, spend time together, I feel loved and connected.
Mm-hmm.
She says, "Thank you for helping me change the sheets." I feel connected. When I
Okay.
help her with the sheets, she feels connected. So you want to learn the love languages. The book by
Yeah.
Gary Chapman, by 5 Love Languages. You will learn
Mm-hmm.
that you may have been misloving each other for years, thinking that you're loving them, but in your love language, which is not necessarily theirs. And then there's second answer, or maybe it's the third answer, is personality types.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who live their lives analytically,
Mm-hmm.
figure it out, cognitive, intellectual, logical. Their own motions don't figure very highly as a priority in the way they live life. Think about Sheldon in Big Bang Theory or Professor Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady, for those who are aware of those things. So not that it, or that he, I'll pick on him, is not ignoring your feelings. He just ignores his own.
Okay.
How he processes the world has very little to do with how he feels.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the next piece is, you know, distortions left over from childhood. For example, I learned when I was 5.5 years old that no one cares what I want. That was a
Oh.
brilliant conclusion by a 5-year-old with a 5-year-old emotional, cognitive, intellectual development. It made perfect sense to me. My mom brought me to public school and then walked away and left me there. In that moment, November 1955, it's that vivid. I knew that, well, no one cares what I want. And that influenced the quality of my life and living for the next 50, 60 years. Because why bother? Don't ask, don't expect, don't look for, because no one really cares what you want. That gives you one sort of life. So this that distortion, I was able to overcome it over years, but consider how hard it is to give a birthday gift for somebody who won't tell you what they want. My example, right? Rita is an acts of service, love language person. So if I said I would like a wallet, boom, she'd get on Wayfair or Amazon and she would have a wallet to me. But she got frustrated. I remember the day she said, "Listen, find something you want for your birthday, and that'll be your gift." She came.
Okay.
I did not let her love me in her love language because I was sure no one cared. Get the flavor
Mm-hmm.
of it?
Yeah.
So
So you know what? That communication, when you think about all of that, is ask for what you want
yeah,
and not think about the person that, not be the person that says, well, figure it out, or the person that just, that goes along and accepts things. Actually, it's not their love language, but it's the other person's love language.
yes,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
In that, okay, my love language is this, their love language is that, but I'm going to put my love language aside because I'm catering to that other person's love language. That
another way,
helps.
another way of putting it, marriage is not about you and it's not about them. It's about us.
Yeah.
And once you learn how to train your us, which is
Uh-huh.
very small when your marriage is starting, right? It's tiny, tiny, tiny us. Until
Uh-huh.
then, you were living from the world of I and me and mine and you, because all you had was yourself.
Uh-huh.
As soon as you got together with somebody, an us was created. An us is greater than the sum of its parts.
Uh-huh.
So, as a couple, we want to make choices that leave us with more love. Change the sheets, go on a date, have quality time, honor how their personality shows up in the world. I mean, in the Myers Briggs world, which I may not have mentioned yet. I'm a thinker. I'm married to a feeler, and extreme feeler thinkers might say, "Why do you feel that way?" It's logical. It's a yes or no question, yes or no. Living in a thinker world, but the feeler spouse, and I have one, feels like you don't care about me or my feelings, and the relationship starts to sink. You need to be highly aware of and honor each other's personalities and develop a middle ground. One example, it was very hilarious when we realized that when she says the word now and I say the word now, it sounds like the same word, but it's not. She says, "The dog's on a leash, coat's on my back. You wanted to leave, let's get going." And I'm still figuring my way out the door. So now we've learned, we've adapted. She says, "We're leaving in 10 minutes, get ready." Problem solved. Different personalities. You just basically you pitch your words to the person who's listening. Let's put it.
Uh-huh.
And infidelity shows up in love languages and watching your parents go through it too. Imagine you're 7 years old and you watch your parents scream at each other for 2 years before they finally got married, divorced. That'll put a dent in your fender as a 7-year-old. You won't know what's going on. You might even take response. If I was only a better child, then they wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have abstract thinking to about the sixth grade. Until then, you do your best to survive your childhood, but you get some really poor interpretations based upon a young intellectual development.
So let me ask you this. Um, a lot of couples, when they're young, they or older, they get married, but they don't, number one, they don't know each other's love language, especially younger people. And do you suggest premarital counseling for
Mhm.
for younger people, for older people, for people who have been in marriages before? Do you suggest that? You recommend that?
Absolutely. It would be the greatest wedding gift is to give the gift of communication to your child, to yourself, because we've never learned this stuff in high school.
Yeah.
And so here you are, in the world where Census Bureau cites 50% failure of first marriages, 60% failure second marriages, only now they're children. Well, what if we taught our teenagers how to communicate? What if,
Mhm.
when you're even at the dating level, because I deal with dating coaches, um, you can get hung if you don't know you're married to an extrovert or you want to be married and they're introverted, like I am, or perhaps they're highly organized. Everything's in time. That's a judger in the Myers-Briggs world. But you're kind of go with the flow, me, out of sight, out of mind. I can change my mind just for the fun of it, but it drives them crazy. They want to know what they can rely on. That's not my way of processing the world. And I've learned you don't say anything unless it's in time. I don't say to Rita, I'll handle it soon, because that means she has to do it herself to make sure it gets done. Just knowing that, just knowing the challenges and opportunities of differing personalities and love languages will provide you a robust drop down menu for a marriage that will last you the rest of your life.
Yeah, I really agree with that. So when you talk about communication, so what do you really mean as far as communication? Give me some examples as far as communication. How do couples communicate with each other or to each other in order to get to that point?
Well, most people, I'll repeat myself, do not know how to communicate. And so the answer, the first and most useful answer I come up with is start your sentences as much as possible with the word yes. Why is that? Well, yes means I'm responding, I'm not reacting. I'm listening. I heard what you said to me. We've established a connection, kind of like dialing the phone for those of us who are old enough about dialing phones. And once we created the space of communication, and the both people agree to be in it, we can then say, and what's next for us?
Okay.
Anything after the and is the future. I love the word and. It's 3 letters that provide you with what's next. So first, set us up for communication, starting with the word yes as frequently as possible. Yes. If you're a real estate agent and someone wants a $100,000 house in $1 million neighborhood, you say, yes, I hear you. Don't forget that second part. Yes, I hear you. I'll show you everything that's available and you'll know which one suits you best. Same thing, cars, sales. You're serving them and you want them to know that you care. Yes. Yes. It's also one last piece. It's first aid for angry frustration and irritation. Someone comes to you, Janice, you're the of all humanity. Now, we are tempted to explain and to defend ourselves, but they're not listening. They're busy being angry, frustrated, and irritated. So save a lot of time. Yes, I hear you. Acknowledging what you heard them say. Yes, I hear you. And, sometimes I am I will admit, and I want to hear what you have to say. Let's sit down with a cup of coffee and I'll listen.
Okay.
So yes is not a cure for anger problems. It is a first aid in the moment to maintain connection and communication. Yes, I hear you. To your teenagers, they want what they want. I'm about to be 76 and I know what I want. So you don't react to your teenagers, to your children. You say, yes, I hear you. Tell me more.
Okay. So let's say a scenario and husband and wife, and let's say the husband or the wife says something like you said, they say something that, let's say they say something that the other person does not agree with. But so what you're saying is you say yes to that. And then wouldn't you say, okay, even if you say yes to that and let's sit down and talk about it, that's when you really listen to what that person is saying. And to me, you would say to them, this is me, okay, so what you're saying is, because sometimes we misunderstand, you know what I mean? We listen with our own and we misunderstand what they're saying, what they mean.
Our us manages the conversation. What I hear you saying is, did I get that right? Tell me more. That's the whole, by the way. You want to show one movie at a time rather than two movies on the same piece of wall. So it's a double feature instead of a creature feature. And one of the things I'll train the second half hour I am with a couple, I'll teach them how to express yourself and know yourself to be heard, which for many people is a gift all by itself.
Yeah.
They say something you don't, you say, yes, I hear. Can we put that another way? I'm not sure I'm catching what you heard.
Yeah.
Or, yes, I hear you. I'm not sure I'm awake enough to have this conversation. Can we pick it up in the morning? Yes, I hear you. And then you open up the space for when that conversation will happen.
Okay.
And some people say, we have to talk about this, but you're not ready to talk about this because you really haven't thought much about this. So you say, yes, I hear you. I'm not sure I have enough to say at this point. Let's put this on the calendar. I'll talk about you tomorrow evening.
Okay. All right.
Don't force an outcome. When you can say, yes, I hear you. How about I'll have something to say tomorrow?
Okay. So here's a question that came in from Jacqueline Rogers. Her question is, do you see more of a problem with people under 40 with communication skills and realistic views of marriage?
Well, there's a couple of stages of marriage. If you're an empty nester, which is 40-ish, 40 to 50 years old, your children have grown up and moved out or about to move out. And you've spent the last 20, 25 years making compromises for your finances and your children and your relationship. And all too often you've been neglecting your marriage in order to get the kids out the door. So I'll see a fair amount of people of the 50-year-old variety. I'll see people, young couples with children. Young couples with children now have to balance a marriage and finances and career, and they don't know how. They need a higher access to communication tools. Otherwise, they keep on jumping down the rabbit hole. And then there's premarital. People who are dating, long-term dating, they may not have moved together. They may not be living together. But when they move together, that's a different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say I see mature couples. I count myself as one of those people who they have the answers to most of life's questions, finances, relationship. They're grandparents or about to be grandparents. And they have about another 15 to 20 years more to live. How do you want to spend the twilight of your life? How can how much golf can you play? So I get couples, and sometimes they're like second or third marriages, right? Their first marriage is gone or second marriage is gone, and now they want to get it right. So I see people of the 60 to 70-year-old variety who want to avoid the mistakes they themselves made in previous marriages.
Okay.
So that's at least 4 different answers to that one question. I see the whole spectrum. I see couples at any crossroads in their life. And sometimes the 40-year-olds, they have some cleaning up to do on aisle 3. They made some serious mistakes, bad strategies to get them there. And they don't want to be stuck again in the same thing that got them into trouble 10 years ago. So we have to do some cleanup so we can progress together.
So I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Do you think that social media has a lot to do with people under 40, having issues with communication skills and, like Jacqueline asked, realistic views of what marriage is? Do you think social media contributes to that?
Well, social media, forgive me for using it, panders to the commerce. They'll put stuff on the screen to catch your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And the more they can catch your attention, the more dish soap they can sell. So teenagers use social media to figure out what life's about. They're developing an operating system for marriage, for adulthood. In their 40s, it's really, couples at different stages of life are not the same, and we get to be responsible that you would talk to a fiance different than you would talk to them 20 years later. I hope did I answer your question? I may have wandered off a little bit.
Well, yeah, I just wanted, you know, a realistic view of marriage. I know I was talking with someone and it who was contemplating marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and it was almost like she was thinking it was a fairy tale. and and I was explaining to her, no, when they say to you, when you hear that marriage is work, it's work on both sides. Because I feel it's more work for the woman. That's me.
Right. Right. I mean, it's work if you don't know how.
Okay.
And I provide the how. Definitely if you struggled, being resigned and resignation and grudges and out of sheer necessity, out of survival, you probably made a lot of poor choices in the past 20 years till you hit 40 of age.
Okay. Yeah, probably.
It is work when you've never really learned how. That's my answer.
Okay. So here's a question. The text came in. Oh, this is really good. We want to talk about infidelity.
Oh, all right.
Infidelity. But I got to take a couple of quick commercials and we come back. When we come back, we're going to talk about infidelity because I have a couple of questions that came in that people really want to know about. So, okay, so we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are going to talk about infidelity right after this really, really, really quick couple of commercials. All righty. So now, Terry Tours. We are going on a campaign soon. They will be coming here soon to talk about their tours to the fantastic motherland, to Africa. You have got to be here. They will be coming soon. And Cutting the Ties is now available on Amazon.com. All righty. So let's bring Paul back. Oh, forgot to say this. If you are looking to have a video promotion, if you have a book and you would like to promote your book via what I would call a little short commercial, and if you have a service or a product that you want to promote, just email me. And my email is relationshipmatterstv@gmail.com. That is Relationship Matters TV at gmail.com. Let me put it on here just in case you didn't get a chance to write it down. That's Relationship Matters TV at gmail.com. All right, let's bring back Paul. All righty, Paul, let's talk about infidelity. You said earlier that infidelity has a lot to do with lack of communication. Is that what it is?
Well, it's all, people are made out of many pieces. And I thought I'd start answering the question that most men don't know how unsafe their partners feel. They'll raise their voices. They'll be dominating because that's the model they had from previous generations. And once they realize that when they raise their voice, even if it's an argument, their female partner tends to pull away and shut down for safety. Most men are completely oblivious to the fact that half the human race, safety is important. Trust is important. And when infidelity shows up, trust and safety are gone. Right? To quote one of the victims, I look in the mirror, I don't know who's looking back at me. I thought I could trust. I thought he was reliable. I thought he was in marriage with it. And when trust is gone, safety seems like a possible future, but very, very far away. And I mentioned earlier, infidelity is a symptom. And part of the answer to that is you've never learned how to love each other. 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Everybody reads at least the first half of the book. And you may be misloving each other. An example. He calls me up. There's something wrong with my wife, says he. You notice that? It turns out that she's been inviting him to have quality time. Let's go for a walk. Let's go to the gym together. Let's go out for dinner. And he's furiously focused on his business. So he would decline her requests to the point where she became vulnerable to finding what she wanted from some other person. And then he noticed and calls me up. So misunderstanding and not speaking each other's love language is probably the number one thing I've seen.
Okay.
If you don't know how to love each other, you're going to step on a lot of toes and trip over, things in the forest of life. And secondly, the second thing is you don't know if they're not emotionally involved. They're introvert or an extrovert, for instance. I had a couple that were 24 years old, and she was very extroverted, and he was very, very introverted. And she said, I want you to come out with me and see my friends. I want to show my boyfriend up to all my friends because she's got lots of friends. She's an extrovert. He's going, So the answer is 2 cars. She goes to hang out with her friends for an hour. He shows up for 45 minutes. When he's feeling overwhelmed, goes home. I do that. I'm a highly introverted person. When my wife invites us out to dinner out with 2 or 3 other couples of our generation, if things get too noisy, I'll hang out in the living room for half an hour to get my energy back because it costs me energy. And then when I went, last example, I went to a Grateful Dead concert. Now you know all. So bright and so crowded and so loud. It was physically painful. I could feel it right here. I've learned to manage my stimulation levels as an introvert. And so I totally enjoy my spouse finding us social events. And I go to some of them. I don't go to all of them. But I'm very aware of this. I'm an introvert. And it's nice to know if you are. Otherwise, they can take it personally. Why come you don't spend time with me? Why are you going out with your friends? You're supposed to be home playing with me. And I could go on and on. But basically, if they're a thinker or a feeler, then you need to be aware of that. Otherwise, you take things personally. You don't pay attention to my feelings, which is kind of a true statement. One example, an anecdote, before I bore people to death. The letter S is sensor, and the letter N is intuitive in the Myers-Briggs world. 16personalities.com. Go there.
Okay.
A mother and a daughter were making brisket together. And the daughter saw her mother cut off the ends of the brisket. And she was a little mystified. She wanted to know why that's the end part. I said, Mom, why do you cut off the ends of the brisket? Mom says, well, that's what how I learned it from my mother. So she wanted to know how, but was interested in the why. So they go to Grandma. Grandma, how come you cut off the ends of the brisket? She said, well, the top was too small. Mom was following directions. That's the sensor in Myers-Briggs. And the daughter was an intuitive who needed to know why things are the way they are. Once you become mutually aware of how your partner, your parents, other people process the world, life gets a lot simpler.
Okay. Got it.
So that's the second force. And then there's distortions from childhood, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
What's something you learned at 5, 7, 10 years old, or previous abusive marriage? Remember infidelity? That's abuse. How you learn to survive your previous marriage, the strategies you develop don't fit in your new marriage.
Yeah.
Still running beneath the surface of your new marriage. So we need to know what did you inherit as a child? What did you figure out as a child as you was developing your operating system for life, or from the previous marriage? And let's not bring it into your next marriage. Let's upgrade us to adults rather than having our past live us in the present.
Yeah, the baggage. So I have a text here. And the question is, what do you tell couples when one of them has been betrayed?
I say, well, since often it's her, not always, but mostly. One thing I tell them in the very first session is that this is not a manipulation. I understand that you're in a room full of two men and you're a woman coming from the world of womanhood. I do not expect you to forgive him. I do not expect you to, give up pieces of yourself for the sake of your future. And I say, by the second session, you will either begin to consider the possibility of forgiveness, or you may find out that your marriage is over. And you'll know exactly why, and you can leave it with no regrets. That's important. You can have a divorce, but make sure you're very clear without regrets. Instead of the woulda, coulda, shouldas, avoid all that. Be whole and complete, that your marriage after 20 years is complete.
Okay. And another question came in. What is the most challenging situation that you have faced with couples?
Well, sometimes one of the couple is not really there wholeheartedly.
Okay,
I'll come with you. We'll go to the session together, at least one couple like that. And so they're not really playing. They're, they're doing it because she wants it.
Mm-hmm.
That's to get in the first session, which is 2 hours long, by the way, sometimes more. I seek to have buy-in from all couples.
Okay.
Sometimes they come to me because they have to, but I want them to return because they get to. Life is an opportunity rather than a survival and obligations and no choices.
Okay.
The hardest thing is to get them both on the same page. And sometimes I've heard the phrase, well, I'm not in love anymore. I love him, but we're not in love.
Okay.
Bridging that gap to remember that they once loved each other, maybe something like many years ago, is still possible. I want to bring them onto the same page so we can create us together.
Gotcha. So here's a comment from Jacqueline Rogers again. She says, we seem to live in a highly sexualized but without intimacy society. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. One of the 5 love languages is physical touch. Operative word is language. And sex and intimacy are just 2 dialects of that. The other side, there's an article called The Importance of Being Held. And sometimes sex and intimacy has too heavy a burden for the relationship. Everything is like, sleep with me, prove that you love me kind of stuff, right? And you might learn that your love language, one person's physical touch is high priority, but you may marry to someone that physical touch is a low priority. And so we get to learn hugs. Really the short answer is hugs.
Mm-hmm.
Hugs ground out the nervous system. When you hug somebody intentionally, there's skin conductance, electricity in your skin that literally you ground the energy. If they find the article, it's brilliant. And hugs are often a way of showing appreciation. And hugs are important for raising children because their self-worth and self-esteem are based upon the hugs and cuddles they got when they were children.
Yeah.
But the first thing I teach them, when you come home, take at least 20 seconds for a hug. Because researchers have found that the average hug between 2 people is 3 seconds. And yet when it takes 20 or more seconds, there are therapeutic effects on the body and mind, feeling safe and comfortable and relaxed. So don't rush home and get into the work mode. Take time to transition from life out there to us in here, starting with a good long hug. Because you go, I had a number of people from the United Parcel Service, UPS. He comes home and she's ready to talk to an adult, having been homemaker all day long. He says, well, hang on a second. I need about 20 minutes to get out of my browns and shower, and I'll be back ready to be with you.
Okay.
If you're not 100% present, we ought not be talking.
Okay. Yeah. Very true.
So she's been speaking baby all day, maybe not sleeping that well. I'm thinking about young couples with children. But he's been, or an Amazon driver. So that's very fun. Amazon drivers have an app for their routes because they have a big step van, and so they've been taught to avoid left turns.
I didn't know that.
Well, because they taught that to Amazon to UPS drivers too. Because it's safer and it's faster if you plug in your route to your Amazon app, whatever app's called. They'll say, go this way, and you'll be done sooner, and you'll be safer.
Oh, never heard of that.
It's, and Rita, my spouse, does not feel comfortable when I make left turns. She sees the traffic coming from that direction. She feels, they're going to hit me. They're not going to hit you. So I've learned there's a choice to make more right turns than lefts.
Okay. One thing that you said that I really liked, and what Jacqueline brought up, there's a difference between sexuality and intimacy. 2 different things, you can have sexuality with no intimacy, and you can have intimacy with no sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And you focus a lot on the 5 love languages. And I got that right here.
There you go.
Right. And it is important to recognize the different love languages that you have and to know what your love language is, because you can look at the 5 love languages and you can be on the spectrum. In other words, you might have all 5, but there's one that's at the top. And it's important to, as far as I see, that you communicate what your love language is.
It's essential. I look at the top 3 love languages. Because after you read the first 9 chapters, all out together taking turns, because we're educating our us, not our me. take the quiz at the5lovelanguages.com. Write down your love languages from most to least. And you may be quite surprised. Rita, my spouse, learned that words of affirmation is one of my highest love languages. I like to be appreciated and acknowledged. It's maybe fourth on her list. It's not essential, but she really lights up when I take care of her. When we have quality or acts of service. I mean, so you learn the language of your partner, and they learn your languages of love. And
Right.
when you know what the steps are, it's easy to dance for a lifetime.
Yes, I'm going to put this on the screen just for people to see this. Just to go to 5lovelanguages.com.
By Gary Chapman, he wrote the book.
Yeah.
Is a what preacher in North Carolina, and he's been working with couples for really long. He's created the book, The 5 Love Languages of God.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
To experience divine love using this model.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that one. I have to find that one. Yeah.
Quality time is reading it aloud together, taking turns. I'm Jewish and I love it. I just get a lot out of it. But there's also love languages of children, love languages of teenagers. There's a whole series of books, mostly authored by Gary Chapman.
Okay.
It's the military version. And once whatever stage of development you are, I mean, as a parent, wouldn't you want your child, your 15, 16, 17-year-old to know what their personality is?
Okay. Just quickly, this is from Gwendolyn Dunbar.
Yes.
And just say what the 5 love languages are. We only got a few minutes without really going too much into them, but just what are they for Gwendolyn Dunbar?
Gifts, quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, and physical touch. We all have all 5, but they rank can vary differently from one person to the next. And when you know how to love them, you make your choices based upon who you know them to be and what leaves them feeling loved and cared for. When I do Norton Utilities on her computer, she feels loved. When I did the refi of this house, she felt loved. When I open a mayonnaise jar, when she brings a pill by, her hands are small, not so small. I look for ways to serve her because I know she will feel loved from me.
She likes acts of service.
Acts of big time.
Yeah.
The more the better. She just lives love to give and to receive. And I know that. And so and she knows I like to be appreciated. So she looks for affirmation
for you.
Affirmations.
Yeah.
Know your love languages. It's probably the most important of all those things in a couple, to know how to love them in a way that leaves them feeling loved by you.
All righty. So, Paul, you know what? Remember I said how we would run out of time. I said, 40 to 45 minutes, and we got maybe about 3-4 minutes. So if they want to find you, how can they find you? If they want to know more about marriage and communication, take advantage of your services.
Marriageandcommunication.com.
Very easy, people.
This show will be on it. You can watch. We watched the show with Janice, with me then. And a lot of other podcasts. I might be interviewed. You'll see. I have also a book, Marriage and Communication Recipes for Life.
All right.
On Amazon currently, and it's formatted as a cookbook. Don't understand anything. Follow the recipe. Get your cake. The cake is your life. And I could be anywhere in the world. I've helped people from Austria, to Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay.
I'd be happy.
So we only got like 2 minutes. So give me, what would you like to leave with my audience? Your words of wisdom, your final words of wisdom.
Being married for 50 years is absurdly simple when you know how. Learn how to love yourself, learn how to love them, and the next 50 years will go by in a whiz. Learn
Okay.
to love each other. Otherwise, you stumble over each other, or worse.
Okay. All righty. I'm going to remember that. I don't know that I have 50 more years on the earth, but for the rest of my marriage life, I
Exactly.
will definitely,
Mhm.
definitely remember that. Well, Paul, thank you so much for being my guest. And I know that my audience out there who are married or who are thinking about getting married or even thinking about a divorce, you know what? Go to Paul's
Mhm.
marriageandcommunication.com. And you know what? Um, you learn something. And I also suggest, because I got this book, The
There,
Five Love Languages. I've got that myself.
on thriftbooks.com, you can get a secondhand copy in very good condition for $4.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Paul, for being my guest. I really enjoyed it, and you have brought a lot of value to my audience.
I thank you for having me as a guest. I'd happily bend your ear for another hour if we had one.
All righty. So you take care. Have a beautiful, blessed. You're in the evening, so have a beautiful, blessed evening.
Thank you.
All righty. Take care.
Yeah.
All right. Bye bye. Well, this has been great. I know what my love language is. Two things. But the top one is acts of service. Do stuff for me. I like that without me asking. That's number one. Then the next one is gifts. I love gifts. So find out what your love language is and find out. And I know what my husband's love language is. He might not know, but I know it's words of affirmation. Yeah. All righty. So just think, if we give each other that, if we take time to make the other person happy rather than making ourselves happy, you'll have a good relationship. And if you communicate. So I want you to know that I've enjoyed all of you who have asked questions, who sent texts, and who put questions and comments in the chat. I really, really appreciate you. You really make the show. It's not about me. It's not even about the guests. It's all about you. So remember, life and relationships. There are all kinds of relationships. There are all kinds of relationship matters. Life is about relationships. So I will see you again next week on Relationship Matters TV. So just a quick note. I'm into AI now, and I did something. You got to tell me what you think about this, okay?
If you are looking for a speaker for your organization, look no further than Dr. Janice Fortman, an international speaker, award-winning author, and producer and host of Relationship Matters TV. What sets her apart is that she connects the heart of relationships with the power of communication and leadership. Dr. Jan's goal is not simply to inspire audiences for a moment, but to give them the insight and tools to transform the way they live, lead, and relate to others. Contact her at drjan at drjanicespeaks.com or 1-877-667-7325.